Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to be xhairymuppetx casting a platinum level game. On the bottom left side we have our red Protoss player aNYDaRK, and on the top right hand side we have our blue Zerg player Rama. And without any more ado, I'm going to take a drink. Oh, my glass is empty, so I only got a drop, but hopefully that one drop should sort me out for the rest of this game. I'm not sure how long it is, but I have a feeling it is a bit of a stretch, so we'll see exactly how we go, and we'll see exactly how these players go as well. But it looks pretty standard, and of course it almost always is standard at the start of this game. Or wait a sec, is it? Am I seeing this right? No, sorry, that's the maximum. That's not the supply count. That's the harvester count. I thought for a second you'd already built 2 overlords or something like that, but no, there we go. He's going pretty standard here, and our Protoss player is going pretty standard there. Looks like he's planning to get a early expansion over here, already starting to block off this gap, and he won't be able to block off all of the scouting coming towards him, but he will be able to block off a lot of the Zerg harass coming in the hopefully in the 5 or 6 minute mark, if the Zerg player does decide to start throwing lings at him at that stage. Now this is actually the first in a series of games. There's 2 games in a row between these players. I believe they're playing the same races as well. I didn't see anybody going random, so I assume they're going to be going the same places. This guy looks like he's waiting for a nexus right now. That will be an expansion before the Zerg player goes, and that is insanely early. I will see if he actually, there he goes, he puts it down. So this Zerg player, he did actually go for spawning pool first, and this is just huge luck for the Zerg player now, because he can say, alright, I'm going to go in, I'm going to do some damage, and he really can do some damage here. Whether or not he waits for waits for speed, he can go in there and he can do a lot of bad stuff to this Protoss player. And the only thing that can save the Protoss player at this point is if he can wall off. If he can get a wall, another building here, and get a zealot, then he may survive, but even that's not guaranteed, because the Zerg player can get 6 lings, he can start whacking down this pylon, and it'll be yeah, we'll see how the Protoss player does. Maybe get a couple of cannons and stuff like that, but he is up against the wall, and the Zerg player, I don't know if this is a brilliant counter or if this is just a wasted opportunity, but he is going for a base in the middle of the map. The probe comes within half an inch of seeing it and doesn't. So that is just absolutely horrible. Ling's coming out, destroying this pylon. So that is there we go. That's why he went for this middle base, because his other one was blocked by the pylon. But that is going to go down very soon, and the Zerg may even be going for another hatchery. Look at how many minerals he's got banked up. I can't say why he's got that many banked up. I assume it's because he's just run out of lava, and he just isn't able to spend it all. But there he goes. He's going in for this hatchery, and he could afford a 4th if he really wants to, but I don't think he's going to. However, this is going to be a good counterplay by the Zerg player. So instead of doing what I thought he was going to do, by countering this extremely early expansion by the Protoss base with a Ling rush of some sort, he has gone ahead and he has done a eco counter of his own, going straight up to 3 bases by the 5 minute mark. That is absurdly early for the Zerg player, and I don't know how he's going to hold it off. And the Protoss isn't pushing out right now. He's bunkered in. He's just macroing workers up. He's not macroing a massive army. So I think the Zerg should be fine for the moment. He doesn't need to worry about a Protoss attack in the next 2 or 3 minutes. I think he could just start building a large amount of drones. There we go. There's 5 coming out now. And he should be quite fine as far as the harvesters count goes. He does need to catch up a little bit. Protoss is doing quite well, but I think he should have no problems catching up that gap. And the only question is, which player will start stopping the worker build and start moving in the army first, and what's going to happen if the other player doesn't realise it. If the Protoss starts suddenly switching over for army units and sends out about 10 or 12 of these guys, and the Zerg has nothing. It's really they're both going for a massive massive amount of economy at the moment, but at any point they could switch over, they could start doing a lot of army. And here we go, the Protoss player, 4 gateways on the way. That is 4 gateways. In addition to this one, he's got 5 gateways. The warp gates is still about 60 game seconds left. So as soon as this finishes, I would expect a very fair amount of units to start coming out. And by then, the Zerg player has to be worried. The Spinecrawler here is not going to save him from that many gateway units. He is going to have to start getting out an army, and he's going to have to start getting it out quite soon. He's got a Hydra Den coming out. He does not have the roaches, so we may be seeing Roach Hydra, but not straight away. We have the Observer coming in. He's finally going to see this base, so he knows the play that the Zerg has made in counter to his fast expansion, and he knows that if he gets an army out pretty soon, he can possibly do some very heavy damage, because the Observer is not seeing an army out there. He's not seeing any units at all, any attacking units. In fact, he only has 4 lings at the moment. So this is a very good opportunity for the Protoss player to get out there and do some damage, but that window is rapidly diminishing because the Zerg player is building Hydralists now. And Hydras are very good versus Stalkers, and they're very good versus Immortals, and I think they're very good versus Sentries. I'm not exactly sure, but they're half decent. I think the Sentries don't do as much damage as the Hydra, so I definitely think they're half decent. Although, yeah, did these guys used to do bonus damage to light? I thought maybe they did, maybe they didn't, I don't know. I don't think any of these guys do bonus damage to light. Anyway, Overlord going to be taken out there. They've got a Warp Prism on the way, so we may be looking at some funky warping in over the backside. The Zerg player has about 10 Hydras there, so I think he's going to be ready for the Protoss to come in. Not a lot of creep spread so far. He's slacked off a bit on the creep spread, and I think this is going to cost him later in the game, but he could get cracking on it in the next couple of minutes and maybe help himself out. He's moving in now, and I don't know if this is the best decision because he does have a good force, but I don't think it's enough here. And those force fields, a beautiful split, and even though these Hydras still had the range on the back, this Protoss army is just really wiping them out. So there we go. The Hydras are a good counter versus these Stalkers, but they really need some protection, and they really need some upgrades as well, because just Hydras by themselves, they die so quickly, and they just don't have the time they need to do the damage. So we do have some Lings coming out now. Ling speed on the way, and the Lings should provide a fairly good a fairly good shield for these Hydras. Stalkers and Immortals are both horrible at taking out Lings. Sentries are a little bit better at taking out Lings, but they're still nowhere near as good as the Zealots, and the Protoss player knows that there are no Zealots in this army at the moment. So I think with a decent amount of Lings and a bunch of Hydras, he shouldn't do that bad. But this Protoss army is still pretty scary at the moment, and these force fields are just making the Zerg's life absolutely horrible at the moment. It's just not fun, and I'm not sure, but I think he might be able to take the Zerg army out here. He's going to run away from the Lings, do a kind of back and forth. He does not want to fight on this creep. He does not want his army to go on the creep, because that is going to be a lot of the Lings getting in a lot faster. But his time has run out now. There's more Hydras coming out, more Spinecrawlers, and the Lings have their speed right then. So there we go. Here's the Warp Prism though, providing some much needed reinforcements. He's seen the Lings, so he's going for Zealots, and this might be what breaks this army, because these Zealots are going to nullify all the advantage that those Zerglings had, and now it's just down to the Hydras, and the Hydras cannot stand up to this army by themselves. They're going to have to pull back, and I think the Protoss could take this base right now if he really wanted to, but he's getting a little bit more reinforcements. He's got to go in now. He's got to go in and take out all these drones and take out this hatchery, and that will net him a solid lead, and that is exactly what he is going to do right now. And I don't think the Zerg can do much to counter it. He's got 24 Lings coming out, But even now, even with barely any zealots left, it's not going to be enough to take this force out. So this base is gone, and the Zerg player is in a lot of trouble in this game. He's in a lot of trouble. He needs to find something to take these guys out, and right now I'm not sure what he can do. Lings are very good against this sort of army, but this army is just so big. He would need like 100 Lings plus Hydra backup to be able to do any sort of damage. And he's got the minerals, but he just doesn't have the hatcheries to produce that many. He is starved in the amount of lava that he's getting out, and he really needs that third base, or he needs a macro hatch or something. Here's his macro hatch coming up now, and that'll help him, but it won't help him for another few minutes. And right now he is in a lot of trouble. I would not be surprised to see a GG in the next few minutes from our Zerg player. Meanwhile, the Protoss, he's just pushing in. He's got 2 weapons so far, so he's really good on the upgrades path. And he's going to jump in there. He's going to get everything done. He doesn't have Zealot legs, but he does have Blink. And he is going to do massive amounts of damage here. And the Zerg has got to GG at this point. I don't think he has any choice any moment. This army is just too massive. And there we go. There's the GG from our blue Zerg player. Congratulations to our red Terran. And I gotta say, I can't say that all of it is due to this, but that pylon at the start there, blocking this expansion, forcing him to wait to build this one, and then having to build it all the way out there, that hurt quite a bit for the Zerg player. Now you may think, well, you know, it's just a small glitch at the start, but he needed that hatchery. He had the spawning pool, had the hatchery coming up. At that point, he had more minerals than he knew what to do with. In fact, he had like 700 minerals before he had built this expansion. That is a lot. He really needed to get that expansion down. It was blocked here, and he didn't have the Lings to take it out fast enough. So he really got behind on his hatchery count. And the Protoss got his expansion up stupidly early. He got his worker advantage up stupidly early. And the Zerg let him get away with it. So that I think was a mistake on the Zerg player's part. Now he tried to go for the fast expansion here and then the third, and I think that could have worked, but it didn't. It could have worked, but it just didn't. He didn't get the army composition that he really needed. He went for Hydras, and these guys just beautiful use of force fields. The army was probably about equal when they were over there. Maybe the Protoss was a bit in the lead, but it was fantastic use of force fields. He killed all the Hydras without really taking, you know, too much damage himself. He didn't lose barely any units there. And that is exactly why you need the Roaches when you're playing with a Hydra force, because it needs to the Roaches take all the hits. The Hydras cannot take a hit if their life depended on it. And yeah, they all died, and the Lings came out, and the Lings were a good move, but by that point the Protoss just had too much. He just got some Zealots out, and Zealots are such a stupidly good counter to the Lings, and the Ling Hydra combination just did not work. And well, congratulations to the Protoss player. He got his bases up. The Zerg didn't punish him for it. Roaches, I think, would have been a great tech switch if he had just stayed on one base, got straight into a Roach Warren, and just built up 6 or 7 Roaches as fast as he could, sent him out there. That would have been awesome. He could have busted through this without too many problems. He might have suffered some resistance, but I think he could have broken through. I mean, this wall costs a lot to build, and considering how much you're spending on a Nexus and a whole bunch of probes, I think a Roach bust would really have done some damage here. And that would have been my recommendation for the first 5 minutes or so. But it didn't happen. He went for a different choice. He tried it. Kudos to him for trying it. It did not work out, and the Protoss player is victorious. So congratulations to our Protoss player, aNYDaRK. Thank you very much for watching. This has been Hairy Muffet, and I hope you enjoyed this game.